solar energy, photovoltaic solar, is on kind of an exponential growth curve right now. And so there are people that are kind of comparing it to sort of the Moore's Law uh, curve that we saw with computers and memory and microchips, uh, and then extrapolating what we might see 20 years down the road, like major uh, uh, solar input to the national grid as a whole. Do you think that's realistic based on what you've been seeing?
Yeah, I didn't think that was realistic until about a year ago, and I think for a lot of people, but myself definitely included, what's going on in California is a bit of a surprise
What is going
because
on in California?
rooftop solar adoption is exploding in California right now. And interestingly, it's been driven by two things that have come together, and they both should have been somewhat predictable. One, of course, is rapidly dropping prices on solar panels, and they continue to rapidly drop every year. We have something similar to Moore's law going on right now with solar panels. The second one, though, is that Solar City came along, and they did a different business model, which is no money down, lease. You can lease these solar panels and get the power at a lower cost than you could get from the utility. At that point, it's like, well, why wouldn't you do it? You know,
Right.
and so that is, that really is an existential threat to the traditional utility business model. And the thing that makes it really fascinating is it's one that is almost totally outside the control of utilities. You know, if people decide that they want to get solar panels, there is very little that anybody can do to stop it. And that's starting to happen. So then you start thinking, you have things like a contagion effect. You know what? If everybody gets it, if a lot of people get it, we know from other technology innovations that a lot more will get it in short order. And there's something really, there's a principle on how new innovations are adopted. It's part of diffusion of innovation theory. It's called the S curve. And what it posits is that new technology adoptions, when they're first introduced, they'll kind of click along at a very flat line for maybe several years or even decades. But when they get to about 10 to 15% adoption, they go to 60% adoption really fast. And we're right there at the base of the S curve in California right now. And so the history of things, everything from anti-smoking campaigns to iPhone adoption to antibiotics prescriptions and things like that, is that's what happens when you get to the point where solar is starting to get in California. And then finally, we all know as goes California, goes the nation. When Californians adopt a new innovation, the rest of the country typically is not very far behind.